Y'all could be doing anything else in the world, but y'all over here fucking with me. Man, Killer B, goddamn witch finder general. You got a witch. Burn their asses up. We got a great show for y'all today. Definitely gonna be better than the last show. I gotta leave that shit alone. So yeah, man, we gonna be rocking this shit today. So we get things rocking. I'll be right back after this intro. And today we will be talking about vegans. These biblical. What up, Big O? I'm surprised to see you over here, buddy. We're gonna be talking about these goddamn biblical vegans and them killing their goddamn kids and shit. We're gonna talk about fucking motherfucking squatting Hebrew Israelites, and we're gonna talk about these musky butt Rastas and shit trying to take over a goddamn country. So with that, I'll be right back after this intro. Hang on out. Big O is gonna be an open panel and shit. Anybody gonna be able to come out here and talk, voice their opinions on all this bullshit. And I'll be right back, motherfucker, right after this intro, goddamn it. Killer B, hit that like button on the way in.
Man's inhumanity demands portrayed on the screen so vividly that you flinch. This man showed no mercy in the pursuit and interrogation of his victims. He was called the Witch Finder General.
Witch finding ain't easy. Fuck your trick one. Get this one. Y'all can get your heads lost, spin away like prison. Intelligence agencies tracing. Seeing what I did lately, amazing. They not seeing all the shit graceful. Flaming pins of Josh, get rocked. Mountaintops go fly. Riding up, fighting up. Get up so nice when I explode. Fuck y'all clothes, costume shop roll. Catch info like a stroll. Feeling old, so grab a switch. I'll extol my fools cause they snitch. Since they can't ruin me, I'ma ruin them. That chopped off head still spin. Burning witches in they skin. You can't lie, we can't die. I know what y'all said. Just as flesh decay, but eternity, I don't see it that way. I paved the road clear is what you said, but your quote gonna leave people dead. Watch your eyes on the man fall down, man go boom. Mask wearing like doom, all caps like y'all yelling. That's a rap, might as well be fellas. Y'all words are lepers. On YouTube, acting precious. Mr. Nexus, feel the sun from the solar plexus. Take the breakfast, finding all those devices that detect us. Yo, show respect, cuz.
And what line of business might you be? God's business. Witch finding. Witch finding. Oh, that's
y'all need for that next buzz or some love. Watch the general full of floods. Internet warriors caught up in dark corridors. Fiction like Mordor. Should've stayed on the floor. Y'all know no origins. Laughing orphans, even though we got royal blood coursing. No more horsing. Real life's more important. Y'all speaking curses on yourself. Claiming God and no one else. Blast you off the shelf. Burn your whole library. See you do it. Look, y'all claim to learn. Reading from the Jewish books. Y'all some cookie crooks. Lips caught up with a hook. Spooky beats drive me wild. Get stabbed, a knife holding child. Old man, old style. Used to be killed out the Nile. And I did it with a smile. Fake news, smell vile. Rock like Hendrix at the aisle. After a while, see Egyptians on the trial. Yeah, you, the one claiming proof. Unglued and unreal. Expose their actions fully. Call me a bully, that's fine. This is how you get bullied straight from the mind. Burning them. Cats out there, we have faith. We have faith. They claim they read all this, that they know all this. Claiming they speak languages, curses.
Be the first to see it. Be the first to talk about it. The Witch Finder General. Man's inhumanity.
What up, y'all? What's going on, man?
How's it going, man?
Oh, this thing goes a lot better than the last one. I'm still fucking with it, though.
So the title's interesting enough, but what's happening?
Oh, we got a great one for them today. We got a great one for the audience. It's gonna be an open panel. I put the link up in the chat. Everybody want to come up in here. We're gonna be talking about this crazy boogie eating bitch and shit that gonna feed her kids according to the goddamn Bible and gonna kill their asses, kill a damn kid with some old Bible diet. And we got the state of Israel kicking out some goddamn Hebrew Israelites and squatting. And we got another one and shit, how the goddamn Rastafarians is trying to take over the goddamn country of Ethiopia with their foolishness and shit. So, and the people pissed off about it. Like the Ethiopian people, they about tired of that shit.
Yeah, that's all very interesting stuff. We could start anywhere. I mean, all that is, crazy.
Yep, you got that damn right. You got that damn right. We're going to get into the boogie eating bitch and shit first. Her crazy motherfucker.
So the Bible diet. So what does she think the Bible diet is?
I can just imagine. You know what I'm saying? I can just imagine. It could be any one of these fucking boogie eating black folks and shit. Got black women head pumped up on some shit. But they the goddamn queen. They the queen to be and shit. And we following the Most High. And
oh yeah, of course.
Children, could the Bible teach that we're not supposed to eat meat?
Oh, so that's what they say.
Yep. These niggas control that damn Bible, man. Gonna be the death of some of these fools and shit. Like real talk. Like, and I'm not getting on people that want to believe in the Bible and stuff and follow some things up in there that make you a good person. But it draws a line. There's a line that got to be drawn. They want to draw the line with the right to bear arms. If they're gonna do that, and motherfuckers in this country gonna let them fucking get away with that shit, well, goddamn it, we gotta get on their asses about this religious freedom shit too. They gotta be a line that gotta be drawn. Like they have to be. Like I'm not trying to take nobody's religion away from them, but when that shit starts praying and fucking up people that ain't got no say in the shit, like children, you know what I'm saying? Like children and people that, you know what I mean, can't think for themselves, all types of shit, like, you know what I mean? These so-called religions, a lot of them go out there and they have an agenda that only includes the leader, and they go out and they fuck people's lives up, financially, spiritually, and sometimes physically. Sometimes this shit, your ass end up dead and shit, fucking, or in jail or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Both. Dead in.
Yeah, it's all crazy, but every topic you mentioned, we could go for a whole show for every one of those. But I don't want to do that. Let's just.
I try to get a couple of them so we can talk.
Mm-hmm.
This shit crazy. Check this out. This is coming out of New York City. Right here. Mom whose baby died of malnutrition says she kept him on a biblical vegan diet. This is a damn shame. This is coming from this month. It says, Carla claims she fed her 7-month-old boy, Kamiri Garriquez. So this woman might be, I don't see no father. I don't think any father is mentioned in the article. That last name, she might not be black. She might be like Dominican or something. I don't know. I don't know what kind of last name that is. Regular nigga last name. So the mother of 7-month-old boy whose death is suspected to be a result of malnutrition admitted to the Post on Wednesday that she fed him only vegan food, claiming that she was following the Bible and wasn't going to carry a fat-ass child. So now, we got the goddamn Post is interviewing this lady. That child is dead because of her monkey ass. And this you see the picture of it. You just look at it, you can tell she ain't got no goddamn stuff. Something wrong. Something ain't right. And we're gonna see how the black community handles shit like this. You know what I'm saying? Because like I do this for everybody. Everybody can learn from this. But you know what I'm saying? Most of my viewers show them. So I feel like we gotta share this, not because of the white man and none of that other shit. So I do these motherfucking videos. What's the sense of some motherfucking thing, right? Let's hear about this black queen and shit, right? She said,
you know, it's one thing when it's like, you know, people doing dumb stuff and no one ends up dead, but when people end up dead and babies at that's when I get a little bit irritated.
"Yep, absolutely."
I don't laugh anymore. That's when it stops being funny. These
Right.
kind of stories I hate.
Yep, it's sad. It's really sad. And just like the last stream I did, I didn't even feel right after that. I took it down, then I put it back up, then I took it down, then I put it back up, then I took it down, and I'll say, no, you know what? Fuck it, let everybody see what I did. I learned from it, so I left that motherfucker up. Even though it was kind of, there was some good shit in there, but it is like the effect that I went on, it wasn't too cute. So, back to this lady. She gonna tell the goddamn Post that she wasn't going to carry a fat ass child. So normally when the news show up at your house and you did some shit, right? And you kind of want to be on your best behavior sometimes. You know what I'm saying? But as we see here, this woman didn't care nothing about. She talking like she out of goddamn Killer Bean was trying to kill herself. To the news reporter. And you know damn well they're gonna put that in the paper like they did right here. I'm not going to carry no fat-ass child. The woman who identified herself as Carla, 28, held up a copy of the Holy Book and slapped it with her hand to explain why she imposed a highly restrictive diet on her newborn. There you go right there. She been fucking with some goddamn Rastafarian shit, some sect of the Hebrew Israelites, or one of them motherfuckers. Could be the damn Moors or whatever, right? And some ideology. She not going to no church for this shit. They ain't got no churches with this fucking crazy shit. This is all that black culture shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I fell victim to this. I used to say the same. I didn't say I ain't gonna carry no fat ass child, but slapping the Bible like this tells me everything how to live. This Bible, this book was written for me, right? Vegan means that everything that's in this Bible. Now, what the fuck? Now they quoted her ass. Vegan means that everything that's in this Bible. She said during an interview with her in her family's home in St. Albans, Queens. Now listen to this shit right here. I'm very wise. I'm very smart. And I read the Bible. Just look around. How many of these people are like talking about, see, brother, you don't got to do this thing. See, these niggas really think that the Most High put some kind of special superhuman powers on their brain to make them smarter than everybody, to be able to understand these breakdowns and shit, that this REI nigga and shit that leaded the whole goddamn One West Coast that's running from Lake Springfield right now.
Oh yeah. I was about to say that. I was about to say the guy that never came on my show.
Yep. Running from Lake Springfield. REI got his cowboy boots on, running from Lake Springfield. So, says Carla also insisted that her baby wasn't underweight and uninterrupted when her mom said, I have to be honest with you. He was small. See? Now, the mom embarrassed now. The dudes came to the house because of this dumb bitch. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, he was vegan, Carla said. He was following the Lord, so he gonna be all right. The Lord gonna take care of him. I'm a small person. I'm 100 pounds. I'm not a fat ass woman where I'm going to carry a fat ass child. Now you see this? That's her language that she used with the news people. Knowing this shit.
And can I just give you the way white people look at that? You know,
okay, go ahead.
You know those reporters were sitting there when she said that, and it was like sharks with blood in the water. They were like, "Okay, we got one. We got us a ghetto, trash mom who's just gonna talk and say everything we need to put down in the newspaper to make her look like a negligent parent." That's what those white reporters were thinking.
Absolutely.
If they had now here's the thing, if they had any black camera people or anyone that wasn't like a reporter, those guys were thinking, lady, just shut up, stop talking, please. You're gonna make us all look bad.
We got somebody in the chat, Taylor Marshall. How is veganism child abuse? Explain. I put the link in the chat. You can come on here and talk with us and stuff. It's not veganism, it's people having the correct, because all right, I was vegan before motherfuckers even knew what vegan was. I was vegan in like 91?
Yeah, so before they had that stuff in the supermarkets labeled vegan,
right,
that's what he's saying.
I come from that. But shit, now I eat pork chops. I ain't eating no pork chops. But I eat some pork sausages, all that shit right now. Riz. But I was vegan for a year. Then I was vegetarian for a year, and then the following year I became vegan, and that lasted for a good 8 years. And I thought I was healthy, I felt good, and stuff like that. But there's certain ways that you have to be vegan. See, like the one thing that people asked me was like, "Well, what do you eat? Like, how do you eat? Like, you can't eat no meat, no eggs, no cheese, and all this stuff, right?" So, yeah, it is the parents' fault. They should have the knowledge to do it right. I've been vegan over 6 years. There you go. So it's the knowledge. These people just take some shit and just look in the Bible. But if you got good sense, you can look in the Bible and you could help your diet out. You can, right? But it's the way that you look at the shit and the way that you understand and not understand on no cult doctrine. I'm talking about actually understand what was written in the context and stuff that it was written.
Can I say one thing? This isn't even about veganism. This is about a mother who killed her baby.
Yeah.
So if this was about veganism, this is about adults choosing not to eat certain foods. That would be a very different thing. But instead, we got a woman who not only, like I said, killed her baby, she had a reporter there and was still acting like the ghetto ratchet woman that she is. I mean, she's a murderer. I'm not even going to pull that punch on her when I say ghetto ratchet woman.
Yep. And we look at the quote. At the end of the day, he was vegan. So fuck whatever happened. He was vegan. 7 months old. And just how we saw the video I did on the Hebrew Israelite group or family or whatever, polygamous family, that beat that 5-year-old kid or 6-year-old or whatever to death over breaking the Sabbath. The kid was 30 pounds underweight. 30 pounds underweight. If you're 5-year-old and 30 pounds, that's a lot of weight. You know what I'm saying? And they beat him to death because the kid got something to eat. And he was obviously hungry because the little nigga ate 32 slices of cheese and a whole loaf of bread. If a 5-year-old eat all that shit, that little motherfucker was hungry. You know what I'm saying? So these Hebrew Israelite groups, they'll push that vegan diet, right? And just more education on it now. But still, people are very ignorant and not want to go into credible sources and stuff and how to eat and how to live being a vegan lifestyle. Like, I survived my vegan thing. I'm being black. Black and being vegan was like the hard, especially in the early 90s, that shit was hard as hell. Because everything we eat got pork or something in there, right? You know what I'm saying? That's not vegan. So I ate a lot of, like, I worked for Egyptian. So I ate a lot of Middle Eastern foods. It's vegan Middle Eastern foods that kept me, I believe that kept me like right and not being sick with crazy, right? I'm not gonna lie, I lost like 50 pounds due to like a month, 2 months. I lost mad weight when I went like, super. Let me finish reading this thing. All right, so we got nerd. She said, end of the day is vegan. Unbelievable. Okay. The boy Kamari Garicles was pronounced dead after being found unconscious and unresponsible. Unresponsive. I'm sorry. When cops responded to a 911 call on October 30th, according to the NYPD. Early Wednesday, the NYPD said that the case had been ruled a homicide by the medical examiner's office. Thank you very much, Nate Springfield. You said it. You said that's murder. And that Kamari was suspected to have been malnourished. No one has yet been charged, but law enforcement sources said his mom is a person of interest and identified her as Carla Barriquez, 28. That's her right there. I know she ain't grinning in her mugshot. Carla defended her decision to feed her son a vegan diet, claiming he's not a fat ass. I'm not a fat ass woman where I'm going to carry a fat ass. I don't know. Is that her? I don't know. Look. All right. During the interview with the Post, Carla pointed to a shelf as she described how Kamari had been cremated. My son's ashes, and right there. My son's ashes, and right there. I know they're not making typos. They quoting her. They doing that shit on purpose. Like you said, we got a live one. Ooh. Nah, I'm not gonna say that, but it's a good chance. Carla also volunteered that she has 3 other children, including a 2-year-old daughter who was removed by authorities following Kamari's death. Good. It was 15 cops against me. They took my daughter in November. They took her a week after. If you see the picture there, that little cat. I'm not gonna say it because it's probably not true, but I don't know. It strikes the interest. I mentioned the Moors earlier. More science simple earlier. I'm not saying that's a fez or something, but I don't know. That kind of, and she's super skinny. I tried to get away, and they took my daughter because they felt like my daughter was at risk because of the fact that my son died. Why are they trying to figure out what God does? Wow. Wow. Y'all hear that? Now, that's some Hebrew Israelite shit right there. Because when I first started following the Hebrew Israelites, one of the doctrines was when you die, you can do whatever you want with the body, the hell with the body. Because that person is now no longer inside of that body. So it's just like it's no different than having a hamburger sitting there. Like a dead body is no different than a hamburger. That's how they desensitized us to death. So when death happens in the family, we're desensitized to it. It doesn't really affect us like that. You know what I'm saying? Now she's saying, well, you gotta have. Why are they trying to figure out what God does? So basically, this will be a person that wouldn't want an autopsy done to find out the death of the child. This is the type of person that probably wouldn't even have a proper funeral for the child. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying this is what she does.
And you know what the worst part is? She'll probably say that there's no need to do any kind of funeral. Because she's probably going to, think that that's like completely unnecessary.
Absolutely.
Just messed up. It's just messed up stuff. I'd rather talk about some dummy on the internet talking about crazy stuff rather than this. Because this just hurts too much.
Yeah, man, it's sad. Like, it's beyond sad. Taylor Martin said, yeah, it's a lot easier now with all these meat attorneys, but still, Still want to stick to the whole foods. Can't rely on fake shit. It does have a place. Its place there. Yeah. Back in the day, the only vegetarian thing that was like vegetarian or you whatever you call it was tofu puffs, and those just nasty as hell. That was like a piece of rubber chalk. What's up, Brainstorm? How you doing? Good to see you up in here. So like, yeah, it's crazy. So okay, let me finish the article. We move on to the next thing. Sad. She said, why are they trying to figure out what God does? In addition to citing the Bible, Carla said Kamari was fed vegan because all the formulas, I tried 6 different formulas, he was catching thrust every time. I don't know women out there know thrust. I think is that some type of rash or something.
Yeah. It's like a rash, but she's using that as an excuse, I think.
Yep. I read another article because I was trying to look for another recent article just like this, and I ran across. I don't know. I think it was a little older though, but they was talking about that there was a bunch. They was feeding the baby soy milk instead of like, no, I'm saying what do you call it? The baby formula, breast milk or whatever. They was feeding the baby soy, and they said there was a whole bunch of soy cartons in the house, and all the boxes said don't use this shit in the replacement of baby formula. You know what I'm saying? So like these motherfuckers just be doing what they want. Look crazy. They caught her coming from the stove. Unreal. If he was not fed with bullshit, how's this woman talking? Then she going to jail. He was not fed with formula where it has chemicals in it. You hear this shit? It has chemicals. They got chemicals in it, so I'm not eating it. There's some things that are natural, and you read it, and the shit sound like a fucking chemical. It's just some regular old shit that's on the motherfucking earth. Carla also said she never had Kamari vaccinated against childhood diseases. This kid probably didn't. Oh, the kid definitely didn't go to school. The kid was old enough to go to school. She probably had this baby in a house too. I wouldn't doubt that. At several points, Carla interrupted her mom, who identified herself as Corinne 65. It said Carla fed Kamari fruits and vegetables crushed with boiled potatoes. That mama tried to talk some sense in her. But you could tell how they saying how Carla kept interrupting the mother. You know what I'm saying? Kept interrupting the mother. So this woman thinks she know everything. And her mother don't know nothing about the truth. Right? Look out of there. Now to get on out of there. Carla also spoke in a disjointed fashion and repeatedly ranted about her religious beliefs. Who's that sound like? It used to sound like me. Disjointed fashion and repeatedly ranted about her religious beliefs. She is going through something, her mom said quietly. So the Bible was like, just take it easy on me. And that's what parent members doing. All you Hebrews are like nigga nuts and shit out there. Guess what happened? All your parents, your cousin, your brother, your sister, your auntie too, your cousin and you. All right. They talking about you. That you ain't got it all up there. Something happened to you. This nigga don't show up to none of the family events. Talking about they all for Satan. This nigga ain't. We ain't see this. This nigga ain't had a birthday party in 20 years. Ain't gone to no birthday party. Ain't seen nobody in the family say we all devils. And that God gonna kill us. We see all the things right here that I talk about. The post stop putting it all out there, like all the shit she said. But they put enough in there for us to get the idea, right? Caller and her mom live on the first floor of a two-family home that is currently for sale. All right, so they live renting the place and the owner put it up for sale. There were several moving boxes on the floor, and Carla, who said she was preparing to move out, was later spotted carrying a suitcase outside. A rep for ACS said, "Our top priority is protecting the safety and well-being of all children in New York City. We are investigating this case with the NYPD, and we have taken actions to secure the safety of the other child in this home." Unbelievable. Yeah, man. See, hey, now we coming in at number 2. Coming in at number 2. See if I can find it. Israelites. Gotta go. They gotta get the fuck on out of here, boy. They ain't gotta go home. They damn sure gonna get the fuck up out of here, dog. All right, let's read this off. Israel to expel Black Hebrew Israelites. But don't get y'all hopes up too high, though. Don't get y'all hopes up too high. I'm gonna read both of them. I left this one free. Read. Sometimes I don't like reading articles. So I read okay. Coming in at number 2. Movie Eater is number 2. All right, here we go. Israel to expel Black Hebrew Israelites. Despite living in Israel for decades, Black Hebrew Israelites are being judged as not being authentically Jewish and face deportation as a result.
You know, this is good news. I like this better than the last one.
Yep.
This is something I can actually talk about because they've been living over there for a long time. Some of them actually live in what's a national park.
Yeah. Yep. And remember, they talking about they supposed to be able to celebrate somehow Jewish holiday, but they celebrated on the wrong day. They celebrated on some day they made up. And they wanted to do it on this land, but the land was on like the state property, and that property was closed on that day. So they were trying to say it's a violation of their religious freedom or whatever. They observed that shit. And they was like, man, they ain't no goddamn Jewish shit talking about over there. What you talking about?
And the good thing about this one is at least no one got killed.
Yeah. Israel is preparing to deport only dozens though, of Black Hebrew Israelites with residency permits who have been living in the south of the country for decades. Prince Emmanuel Ben Yehuda, the spokesman for the African Hebrew Israelites, said the Israeli interior, and it was ill, they call them the African Hebrew Israelites, and ain't none of them niggas from Africa. Them niggas is from America. Said the Israeli Interior Ministry had given a notice to at least 46 families saying that they must leave the country within 60 days, calling it, listen to what they said, calling it a shock to the system. Black Hebrews are a spiritual community here, right, of African Americans who identify as descendants of the ancient Jewish tribe and view Israel as their ancestral homeland. With around 2,500 to 3,000 members, most of them live in the southern desert of Dimona. The community was founded by Ben Carter, a Chicago steelworker who renamed himself Ben Ami Ben Israel after moving to Israel along with 30 of his followers in 1969. They were able to settle in the country as the Israeli law of return grants automatic citizenship to Jews who settle on historically Palestinian land, which is cool, right? But Israel wasn't sure what to make of the newcomers who arrived on tourist visas. See, people don't want to do things the way they're supposed to be done.
Oh, can I say something real quick?
Yeah,
you remember that one dude, Mighty Hebrew, who tried to get into Torah Nights, sort of?
Yep. I think that's what they're talking about.
You know, that dude was close with the Demona Israelite guys.
Yep.
And he was like trying to make that whole thing into like a bigger thing on the internet, because he was like Israelite nationalism rising or some other crap like that.
Absolutely.
Like the biggest joke, like, you know, it just sounds so funny. There's nothing to it. It's like a joke, but yeah, there's a whole community over there of people like that.
And learn something every day, Brain. Learn something every day. But that's funny that you broke that up, because he is part, and I believe this is the group of Hebrew Israelites that they're putting out. I did a video on them before, right? A couple of times, especially on that Mighty Hebrew dude who's a known pedophile and shit.
Yes, I was just about to mention that he is a registered sex offender.
Yes, he is. What was his name? Y'all can find him. This weird bald head looking dude.
I just know him as Mighty Hebrew, but then again, you know, he doesn't even deserve that, you know.
Got kids going to school chewing on condoms and shit. That shit crazy.
Oh man,
unbelievable. So he's another person that recently what would you call allegedly would you call that sexual assault, pulling out your thing on a woman? I don't think that'd be sexual. That indecency. I just call it indecency.
Mm-hmm.
Call itself helping a woman, saving her from one Hebrew Israelite cult, right? You're gonna help her leave the cult, and then gonna pull out his dick out. And the girl didn't like it, and instead of going to the police, they went to so-called Israelite.
Oh yeah. Went to a Hebrew Israelite court of sorts,
consistent of these niggas that they probably trying to kick out.
And you know the funny thing is, when they try to do things like this, they never do it right. The way these were supposed to work is these were like religious courts for like religious issues, not like things like this. So you know this isn't them doing it right. This is them doing it wrong.
Yep. I'm talking about leave for the what's the scripture and shit? Judging the nation, judging the matter, or whatever. Yep. They trying to hold their own. They got their own rabbis or whatever. Shit. All it is a bunch of boogies, right?
Yeah, it's a bunch of guys who don't even have real authority at all.
Don't even got jobs.
That's the ultimate funny part. These guys don't have jobs. They don't got anything.
Sit there and live off the people. How people talk about living off the land, they're living off the people. They live, and Mighty Hebrew can sit there and lie and talk about you talking to the UN and about getting Israelites recognized as children. I'm like, nigga, you go in there, that stupid ass space cadet suit, that bright ass fake gold.
Let me tell you how funny that would be for anyone who's like a real member of the UN. For them to sit there and see some guy come in there in what looks like a Halloween costume, they would be like, wait a minute, is this a joke?
Please, where he don't got no hair on his body.
Yeah,
so,
who let that joker in here? Who let that guy bring in the red, green, black flag? What is this? They'd be like, what country is that?
It's those rhinestones. That nigga wearing rhinestones.
Like, them gemstones ain't even real. You would be getting heckled by every country in the UN. The whole Security Council would be going wild. It would be the funniest thing in the world, but yeah.
Wearing a whole handful of ring pots and shit. Fucking rings.
People would be roasting him in every language imaginable, every accent too.
Imaginable. You ain't lying about that. They'll be like, everybody be like, you know how the motherfuckers supposed to be quiet, but you hear the motherfuckers like in the courtroom and shit, they just whispering the motherfuckers, you hear that. That's all you would hear.
Yeah, you would be getting a running commentary from every part of the room. I can only imagine. It cracks me up, but yeah, these guys are getting kicked out. They're getting booted out.
Yup, get the fuck out of here, right? So
and congratulations to the Israeli people for kicking these people out.
Congratulations. About time y'all wised up. About time. But Israel wasn't sure what to make of the newcomers who arrived on tourist visas, adopting Hebrew names and a West African style of dress. When in 1973, members of the community were denied Israeli citizenship as Israel concluded that they were not ethnically Jewish. After being denied health care and other social services due to their lack of official status, Black Hebrew Israelites were, I did a video on that. Being denied of their lack of official status. Now, to go there, you got to show paperwork that you a Jew, that you've been converted. Like if you got a family that's been Jews, you got your lineage of your family, and you got a rabbi, a synagogue or something that can make your paperwork, do your paperwork or whatever, however that shit go, to come and be a citizen in the state of Israel, right? But there's some Jewish groups that aren't official. They're not recognized by this I don't know what you would call it, like council, the rabbis, or just the whole Jewish state government thing. It's a certain sex, so they're not letting no, like some off-brand sex up in there without proper paperwork. Now, there's people out there that are giving people conversion papers, right? But the conversion papers are only for that sect. They are not for the whole, like you can't go to Israel and say, here's my conversion papers to prove that I'm Jewish, and you gotta give me citizenship. No. No. It has to come from a certain thing, I guess. Just like you got the Christian church. There's a council of Christian churches that recognize these certain churches or whatever. Or the Baptist thing. When I was a kid, we used to go to the Baptist conventions and shit. There'd be Baptist churches from all over the United States and shit. Be at one central spot, like some shit like that, right? So it says, Black Hebrew Israelites are finally given temporary residency status in Israel, thanks to the pressure from U.S. Congress. Oh, great. In the early 1990s, right? We fucked up there, right? These people had to become citizens, had to join the military and everything. Citizens. For quite some time, we've had a number of members of the community with different levels of immigration status. Some of us have full citizenship. Some take permanent residency. Some have temporary residency. And some have no status whatsoever, said Ben Yehuda. He said the community has been working for years with Israeli authorities, to sort out the legal status of those without permanent residency. Now, you see what's going on right there? You see what's going on right there? The cult that actually got in, like the people like in Dimona, like they actually got citizenship. Their kids got to join the military and all that shit, just like all the other Israelis and shit, right? Now, these new boogies going over there, like Mighty Hebrew and stuff, they're American citizens. And know what they doing? They going over there and getting their plane ticket there as a tourist and not coming home. It says, but Israel says they gave residency status to around 1,200, and claimed those whose applications were rejected were not members of the community. You see that? They weren't members of that group. So there was some niggas, probably some Rastas and some other motherfuckers. They go over there and they want to hang with the niggas in Dimona. They letting them in there, shit, chilling with them. Like, yeah, we've been out here for 10 years. We've been out here for 20 years. Or whatever, like, you know what I'm saying? And these niggas are just visiting. And now they want to find a little chick or some shit. Like, know what I mean? And want to learn with the congregation and not doing their proper paperwork. All those who were not included on the list of the community members and didn't meet the criteria received a negative reply and in effect are residing illegally in Israel for a long period and must leave according to the law, right? So those other mighty Hebrew niggas, they got some other shit going on. Know what I mean? I'm just using that as an example. And I'm sure there's plenty other Hebrew Israelite sects over there also. And what they do, they'll outnumber the ones that have been there. So they can become a threat to the ones that got the residency. They fucking with their doctrine and shit. Because the Ben Abi niggas, those niggas in Demona, they vegan. You know what I'm saying? That's why I use this with that other one and shit. Because they're vegan. And this Sunday, May 26, 2013, file photo, members of the Black Hebrew Israelite community attended. Oh no, maybe they are the military, but I don't know. It's definitely being there. Maybe they ain't. Maybe it's some made up shit. Intersectionality of race and Jewish faith has been a heated debate. Hold on one second. Not able to show true allegiance to Israel. Nope. So ain't none of these motherfuckers show that. Not even the other motherfuckers. Probably they can't lose. Right-wing and ultra-Orthodox groups have long pressured the Israeli government to expel African migrants to protect the Jewish identity of Israel. The debate soon began to shape the state's approach to Africa. Ooh. Siding with the Trump's anti-migrant policy, the Netanyahu government has been increasingly hostile to African migrants. See, y'all motherfuckers should have voted for Trump. God damn it. Hebrew Israelites out of Israel. There is even talk about that and all types of foolishness. I can see it now. Because I know how niggas act. Especially Hebrew Israelite niggas. I got 20 years to know how Hebrew Israelite niggas act. Shit, I don't want to. A term used by Israeli politicians of various parties when it comes to Africa, regardless of whether they're Jewish or not. They don't want them there. As the end of 2018, around 40,000 African migrants lived in Israel. According to the Israeli immigration authority, they make up only 0.5% of Israel's total population. And human rights organizations such as Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch regard most of the African migrants as legitimate asylum seekers and refugees. I can see that. I can see it. But not when them niggas come from America and shit. Hell no. Hell no. The fuck, y'all ain't running for shit.
Oh, you want to hear something funny? I can almost imagine these guys, once they get a whiff of Israel, you know how they change? They go right into that smug, you're not the people, we're the people. This is our land, get off our land. It's like if I heard that from people that just set foot on Israeli land, I would be ticked off. I would be pissed off. I would be like, you guys just showed up and said, we're not the people, get out. Okay. We're gonna kick you guys out. It's your time to go.
Yep. That's exactly what they're gonna do. That's exactly what they're talking about. You know what I'm saying? And the state of Israel got Christians over there, they got Jewish people over there, they got motherfucking Muslim people over there living in the state of Israel. I'm not talking about Palestine, I'm talking about Israel, right? And these people live amongst each other with no issues, right? Of course, there's issues, but you know, they live over there chilling. But when you got a people that comes over there and say, hey, you don't belong here. and you've been there, and that's what these motherfuckers is doing. They go over there, but I bet one thing, I bet the motherfuckers put on them little ass hats and they go to that wall. But so they don't have to go to that wall and shit, the Wailing Walls, they don't go there and wear them fucking hats, right? That's a dagger in the Hebrew Israelite heart, nigga. You gotta put on one of them little hats. Them yarmulkes, nigga, they gonna be like, oh hell no, nigga. Right? So
or they bucket the whole way. They're like,
yep.
yeah, I ain't doing that. I ain't going to any one of them white synagogues.
Right. They nailed it, Maggie. They already started this bullshit. Listen to what they doing over there now. You got these bookie niggas over there. They changing Jewish landmarks. They're saying the temple wasn't right here. The temple was over there. You know what I'm saying? Where Jesus, where Yahweh Shai was crucified wasn't there. Yahweh Shai was crucified over here. So it's just like the motherfucker saying that Israel's in Peru. Like you got them niggas and Egypt was in America, that they switched the maps around. You got those fucking weird ass niggas and shit. The same shit going over there now. They moving national landmarks to make themselves different from the rest of them. And that's what cults do. They make things separate. You know what I'm saying? We can't have all these motherfuckers going to the same place. No. Where the Battle of Jericho, like, you know what I'm saying? Where that happened. That didn't happen right here. It happened over there. So now they got their own landmarks and stuff. And these cult leaders, they know none of this shit true. They know none of this shit true. But they cause all of this shit to gain momentum, to get more money, to get more attention. To fool and kill the people. Because if they get strong enough, guess what they're going to try next? They're going to try to kill people. They're going to start to create an army. They're going to get their head pumped up. Yeah, we can make our own FBI. We can make our own CIA. I can see it now. Let the motherfuckers get enough money and see what happens. Y'all think I'm playing. I'm dead ass serious, right? Netanyahu has called African migrants infiltrators who have either the choice to leave the country and take their money or to spend the rest of their life, who have either the choice to leave the country and take their money or spend the rest of their life in an Israeli prison. Thousands of Africans have been forced to leave Israel for Uganda and Rwanda, regardless of their home nation, in order to avoid jail. Wow! So now, that means that these African countries are going to get filled up with these motherfuckers. So, no, because it said it don't matter where you from. Know what I'm saying? So these motherfuckers, they not going back to where they came from, America or whatever.
And you know what the worst part is? It's going to be culture shock for these people. They're going to be in a country where they don't have 40 ounces, where they don't have anything familiar. And then they're going to be people that are going to have to deal with those crazy nut jobs.
Yeah.
The native inhabitants of wherever they go.
Yeah.
It's like, I'll give you an example, a real quick example of how crazy this can be. You've probably heard of MS-13, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, they're a gang, and they started off in Los Angeles, in Koreatown. Oddly enough. What happened is they got big, and then the U.S. started deporting some of these guys.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened is some of them actually got wise to the fact that they could go wherever they wanted when it came to being deported. Because they would ask, where are you from? And they would tell them what country they wanted to go to.
Hold on, we got Israel doctrine up with this motherfucker. What up, Israel doctrine?
Shoot.
We got Siberians up in there. What else? Siberians got Balak. I still can't pronounce her name last name. cooking without the extra shit. We got him up in here. Bob, you must be talking about Howard Shaw's people. I think, I don't know if you're making a joke or the dude actually name is that. Because I think the dude with the dreads that be making up shit, like he just be finding shit, like he the Indiana Jones and shit of the Israelites. I put the link up in the chat. Anybody want to come on in here? That's you Israel guy. You've been making some.
So I'll just hurry up and get to the point without beating around the bush. What happened is these guys who were LA gangbangers would go to these Latin American countries, and they would bring that kind of LA gangbanging down there. So it was like they imported that culture wherever they were sent.
Right.
Now, can you imagine the Black American bringing the Black American culture to an African country?
Yep.
And we're not talking about educated. We're talking about the lowest of the low.
And that's going to lead us into our next topic, too. What you just said, going to lead us right into that. What happens, right? Now, if they go back to Rwanda, this random niggas is showing up in Africa, they're going to be like, oh, shit, them niggas is kind of cool for like a month. After that month, there's going to be some problems.
There could be a problem after a week because some of these guys have never been in a foreign country like that.
Right. And they're going to be illegal there, too. And now these Rwandan motherfuckers, shit. I don't know too much about Rwanda, but I think I heard enough about the motherfucker not to want to go there.
Oh, yeah. And you want to hear someone mention Liberia. You know, Liberia is a horrible place.
Yep.
Like you can go, if you go to Liberia, you would not want to stay there. Like they have one city there that's supposed to be like, a big city. It's just a crap hole.
What else, Siberius? What's going on?
What's good with it, man?
Chilling. Yeah, man, we talk about these subjects and stuff.
Say it again?
We talking about the vegans killing their kids and shit, the biblical vegans. And now we got a bunch of Hebrew Israelites are going to get deported from Israel. There's some that have residence, and there's some that don't. So lenient on the motherfuckers that got residency, and the motherfuckers that's over there squatting, they gotta get the hell on. They either leave, go back to where they come from, or go to jail for the rest of their life.
Damn.
And, this guy cooking without the ecstasy says a bunch of brews right across the road in Egypt. They can always wake up with. They're connected. Yo, GOCC. You mute your mic for me, Siberians? Yeah, there's like a lot of wind or something. Roll up your window or something. GOCC Hebrew Israelite Code. A few years ago, he had some movement called the Free America movement, where they said that Yahweh Shai is coming back to save them, and that they have to leave Babylon to get to a land closer to wait to be able to go into Israel and take the land of Israel as their own, right? So they said that Yahweh Shai and stuff went to flee in Egypt and stuff for protection. Moses, his children, Jacob and his children in a time of trouble, they fled into Egypt and stuff, and then became slaves later on, though. But Egypt was always a land to get your help and shit, right? So they said, leave America. Now, they don't know what the leader is acting like he's a this high security alert fucking America's most wanted ass motherfucker, like the FBI, CIA is out to get him and shit because he's revealing all this shit. So he's like in hiding. No one knows his location. But the thing was, you go to Egypt, you take your flight to Egypt, you will link up with somebody there, and they will remove you of your passport. So your ass is stuck there. Oh, he said there's a couple more up in there. Let me know some of the names of them and stuff. I'll look them up. I'll do shows on them. Real talk. I shot you out for it. Now, where I was going. So there was mad motherfuckers that was dumb enough to go to Egypt, right? Trying to get close to Yahushua, right? Return. And the motherfuckers couldn't get back home. These motherfuckers might have worked, didn't pay their bills for like 6 months or whatever, got their plane ticket, and moved to Israel and gave these boogie-eating niggas and shit their motherfucking passports. And now they stuck over there. They can't come home. And you ain't making no money like you was making in America. You're going to be making Egyptian money. That shit ain't going to be shit. What you did for a week, you might have to work 4 months. Know what I'm saying? So motherfuckers is stupid. Motherfuckers is stupid, and they got caught up in that shit. And that nigga, you can't find a trace of that information about that Flee Babylon shit on the internet. They took all that money and hid all that shit on the internet. I found one article that talked about it. It was like in a forum. Somebody spoke on it. I ain't found shit else on the internet about it. I remember when it went on. I remember when that shit went on. Right? So I'm going to read this other article here. On this whole the Mona situation. See if we can pull some more information. Thanks in the chat. Anybody want to come on? Here we go. Come on. Polygamous vegans ordered to leave Israel. Dozens of members of a polygamous vegan sect in Israel has received deportation orders from the government. The group's spokesman says Monday, despite much of the community have received permanent residency under agreements with Israel, the community, which numbers around 3,000 people, is comprised of Black Americans whose founder moved to Israel in the 1960s and believe they are descendants of the ancient Israelite tribe. Most live in the southern desert town of Dimona. Prince Emmanuel Ben Yehuda, spokesman for the African Hebrew Israelites of Jerusalem, said the Interior Ministry had given notice to at least 46 families that they must leave the country within 60 days, calling it a shock to the system. The African Hebrew Israelites began arriving in Israel in 1969 following Ben Carter, steelworker who renamed himself Ben Israel and claimed to be God's representative on the earth. See what I mean? This nigga claimed to be God's representative on the earth. But Israel wasn't sure what to make of the newcomers who arrived in tourist visas, adopted Hebrew names, West African style dress. The government wasn't sure whether they qualified for citizenship under the country's law of return, which is granted to almost any Jew who requests it. The Interior Ministry granted many members of the community temporary residency in 1992 and permanent residency status in 2003. Many members study in Israeli schools and serve in the military. For quite some time, we had a number of members of the community with different levels of immigration status. Some will have full citizenship. Okay, I read that. The Population Immigration Authority said the settlement in 2003, 1,200 African Hebrew Israelites were found eligible for residency. And that in the years afterwards, the office received other requests from people who are not members of the community. All who are not included in the list of community members and didn't meet the criteria received the negative reply and in effect are residing illegally in Israel for a long period. They must leave according to the law. We're here. Now listen what the nigga said. We're here because we choose to be here to build this country and give our energy to the improvement and the betterment of this nation. So it's quite a bit disheartening in that respect. Now, y'all got to read between the lines in what he said. So we are here to we choose to be here to build this country and give our energy to the improvement and the betterment of this nation. They're talking about the nation Israel, which they're talking about them. You know what I'm saying? They're not talking about they're talking about them. So it's quite a bit disheartening in that respect. They believe the black man is Jew. They don't believe white people are Jews. So when he said that, he's not talking about the state of Israel. He's talking about the boogie niggas and shit from America that moved. That's who he's talking about. Oh, you're talking about Liberia? All right. They fucked it all up. Most of them came back. They started enslaving the slaves in Liberia. The free men that came back to Africa and Liberia, they started enslaving the indigenous people that was there and putting their asses. That's some crazy shit. Okay, now on to the next subject. Seems to be an issue with the Ethiopians, and their recent migration of West Indian and American blacks into the country of Ethiopia, causing a ruckus. Yeah, right? They should throw all their monkey asses out by it. You stuck in Babylon. The missiles is coming, baby. Like the missiles is coming. You thought you was gonna escape? The missiles is coming, motherfucker. You back
yeah, that's something you hear a lot. You know, missiles.
Yup, the missiles is coming.
Alongside with another thing, which is all them rocks. You know, the brick shower.
Brick showers, yeah, right? Check this out here. We got a murder in Ethiopia shows the Rastafarian promised land is far from heaven. We traveled to Shashame, I guess that's how you pronounce it, Ethiopia, to meet, I ain't ever going there, to meet the Rastafarians that have settled in their spiritual home and found that a murder inquiry is underway. It's been nearly 60 years.
Can I say something real quick before you start that? I feel bad for the people who actually are Ethiopian, and they got these interlopers coming in with their Rastafarian. They're worshiping the king of Ethiopia, or one of their kings.
Yep.
Regular Ethiopians are just sitting there like, we don't worship that man. Why are you guys? It's crazy. I would be going nuts. I'd be like, all right, you know what? Don't even come into our country if you're bringing that weird ideology.
Yep.
We got plenty of weirdos here. We don't need you.
Yep. They grow their dreadlocks and shit, so the angels of the Most High can grab their dreads and bring them up into heaven.
Yeah. I'm gonna just. I'll be on, but I'll just leave my computer here. So I'll be back in a minute or in a little bit. So I'll see you.
All right, I'm back. My bad. Goddamn, nigga, you went on mute. Shit. So, all right, y'all come back up. All right, this shit hard. See if I play this. I'm gonna read this other one first. Then we can go to the murder. We go to the murder. No, I'll do this after this. This is good. This is something. Pretty interesting thing on the shotgun side. How am I now? It's cutting out now? So, yo, you can hear me? I'm good now? I'm all here. Let me know, Malak. Shit. Oh, okay. All right. All right, here we go. I don't know what happened, baby. Nearly 60 years since Haile Selassie, the last emperor of Ethiopia, granted 500 acres of rural land to a newly birthing religion whose followers had begun worshiping him as a messiah. The first Rastafarians arrived in the decades after 1948, when the area in Shashamene, southern Ethiopia, was bequeathed. More than half a century and two Ethiopian revolutions later, repatriation returning to the continent, their ancestors were forced to leave as slaves. It's still recognized as deeply important by Rastafarians across the world. For those who make the journey across the globe to begin a new life in the country considered their Zion, however, barely could be far from home. Shortly after Vice News visited Shashamene, the town where hundreds of Rastafarians still reside on the land that Haile Selassie designated to them, an elder Rastafarian man was murdered in his home. What appears to be motivated by the land tensions of the sort that are characterizing the country. Clifton Simeon, or Brother Grimes, was 60, unmarried, and living alone when he was attacked. On November 11, 2015, a friend arrived at his home to bring Simeon dinner. Instead, he discovered Simeon's dead body, bloody, with bruises on his head and cuts on his neck. Simeon had been in Shashamene less than 5 years. A Trinidadian, he lived in America before deciding to make the journey to Ethiopia, his promised land and spiritual home. The killing has shaken up Rastafarian community, acting as a violent reminder of the unease that simmers between the self-declared pilgrims and some of the local, mostly impoverished Ethiopians who remain bewildered by or even resentful of their presence. Yes, this is the gate. It ain't like I guess you call that a gated community. Yes. Kick it out, man. So say it's 150 miles south of the Ethiopian capital, Addis Ababa. Traveling down brown dirt roads on the drive, you pass partially electric roads. Ethiopia feels like a country under construction. Chinese, Saudi, and Indian money is pouring in. Ethiopia was predicted to have the world's fastest growing economy in the 4 years up to 2017, but it remains one of the poorest countries on earth. Also the second most populous in Africa, with close to 100 million inhabitants. Like the capital, Chassimane has the atmosphere of somewhere being renovated. Fields further out from the center. Almost everyone in the town seems to be looking for new maintenance schemes or an escape route, except the Rastafari. There are 800 of them. See now, what we see is people coming in. Where the people are in severe poverty, right? And they're probably not contributing to anything in the country because come to find out that they don't have citizenship. So these people are looked down upon by the community because one, they probably don't contribute to it, and very poor, as we're going to find out here. There are around 800 of them from about 20 different countries: Trinidad, Tobago, Jamaica, Guatemala, Martinique. Many of those countries don't have a diplomatic presence in Ethiopia, and the new settlers are barred from claiming citizenship, even if their children are born. The area in the town is easily distinguished. It's colorful, and Ethiopian and Rastafari colors of red, black, and green, and gold are everywhere. Meanwhile, Lonely Planet's guidebook on Ethiopia highlights. Meanwhile, Lonely Planet's guidebook on Ethiopia highlights Chassimane as one of the places a visitor needs to be most vigilant for thieves. The town is a crossroads, a transit point where buses head out every direction, including to Addis Ababa. The Vice News met Rastafarian and banana artist Danny Payne. Banana artist? How the hell are you gonna be a banana artist? These niggas move here and just do anything. What the fuck is a banana artist? He was pacing inside his small gallery. He had been robbed the night before. He showed off his art, distractedly directing the occasional complaint at a friend. These were local Ethiopian youths, he said. They break in regularly. After hearing of Simeon's death in the Jamaican Rastafarian Development Community and NGO run by Rastafarians, which operates in Chassimane, the spokesperson confirmed it. Greetings. We are sad to report the news of Brother Clifton's demise in November 10, 2015. We pray for justice. May his soul rest in peace. Reports of the murder spread swiftly through the Rastafarian community. The American man who was assassinated, Alex, one of the owners of Chassimane Zion Train Live, queried in response to Vice News, asking him about sin. So these niggas is on this property. These niggas got hotels and shit for niggas and shit. So the American, everybody come up in there and they keep their asses up in there. Yeah. We heard a lot about it. Alex said thieves wanted to steal Simeon's belongings and take his property. Take his property. Not just his belongings. Listen, take his property. The situation wasn't new, Alex said, adding he had heard Simeon had written up threats in a notebook. Sister Lorna knows they call everybody brother and sister. You know that's a red flag right there. That's a red flag. The neighbor and friend of Simeon's also spoke about what had happened. She originally met with him when they were both living in New York. He was found dead at his home, and a lot of his stuff was stolen. She said the police have apprehended several people in the process. She said the trial had been put off for weeks. There seems to have been another motivation, like the person who you got the land from apparently needed more money or needed to get the land back or whatever. Huh. These niggas wasn't paying these motherfuckers. Yet too. Lorna said the attackers were local Ethiopians. We're still trying to come to terms with what has happened because now everybody feels a little vulnerable. Yeah, you scared now. You in Africa, nigga. You ain't in America. You got your ass in Africa. All them lions and tigers and shit. Listen, I'm just playing. Y'all remember that shit for coming to me. Lions and tigers. There really wasn't any tension between our community and there really wasn't any tension between our community and their community. But this has created a little, she continued. We feel vulnerable now. And usually, and you feel why y'all niggas scared. Y'all in Africa around y'all people. Why y'all niggas scared? And usually, Ethiopia is petty robbery. They do these things when you're not home. But it's very unusual for somebody to rob you while you're there. You to kill you. So it's a little jarring to all of us. Vice News heard locals refer to the listen, y'all. Locals refer to Rastafarians disparagingly as monkeys. Monkeys. While saying I didn't say that. I didn't read this shit before I came up on here. Did I say that shit? These niggas come in here and don't contribute to the country. They take. Then ask for something. Y'all feel me? Y'all. Right. Saturday would have been musician and notable Rastafarian Bob Marley's 71st birthday. Over the weekend, hundreds will descend on Shashamane for 2 days of festivals, with 14 artists playing a bazaar, DJs, drumming sessions, peace, love, unity, and good cause on advertising. Friday also set to be the beginning of a murder trial, which was delayed during the wait of the autopsy report that was completed last week. 4 suspects were charged in the involvement. Several people who spoke to Vice News about Shashamane legal system has scathing indictments, but Lawrence seemed quite calm about the upcoming proceeding. Nearly 3 months after the death, Lawrence said tensions were no longer as high, though the community remained bewildered and upset. It's basically back to where it was, where it was fairly peaceful until something happened. Oh shit. That's the dude's art, I think. So is that banana leaf? I think that's what they meant by banana art. That might be on a banana leaf or some shit, because it looked like a. You see how it looks? Those not brush strokes. That's the substrate that we use. Yeah, so maybe that's what that is. It's doing art on motherfucking. Yeah, banana art depicting how it's lost. That's crazy. Probably painting on the banana leaf. Many Rastafarians are now taking action to improve security around, such as hiring watchmen to guard their property or getting dogs. Lots of players for safety too. That's a deadly weapon. A lot of prayers for safety. That's a deadly weapon. She said there has not been any backlash or increased industry. There was a common understanding of the greater issues affecting the country, which has been demonstrated on a personal level in this incident. Land has become a very precious commodity. In Ethiopia, you're not allowed to own land, you're occupying it. But at the same time, it's so precious that that it's money to the people. Yeah. Just like I said, when the people tell you to go to Africa and shit, these countries, you can't own that shit. You lease that property. In Ghana, American can't own property. He could basically own property for no longer than 50 years. After 50 years, it goes back to the original land. So y'all niggas is going over there thinking y'all doing something and it's getting fucking time. That shebang is located in Oromia region, where deadly protests have been taking place over the past few months against the government's recently shelled master plan, a strategy to expand Addis Ababa into the farmland surrounding. At least 140 people, many students, were reportedly killed by government security forces during demonstrations that began in November. So they telling you go out there and fuck around if you want. This ain't America. Opposition leaders, including Deputy Chairman or the Oromo Federalist Congress, excuse me, has since been in prison in an email to Vice News 10 days before. Home in December. Reality that the Dream Lord said Addis Ababa's master plan meant they forced to divide up their land into smaller pieces and put some of it up for sale. So I think there's a little jealousy when we see that we still have our land. She said that, well, that's true. She said that Simeon's death could stem from that kind of resentment. According to Lorna, many of Shashane's Ethiopians who had lived in the town for decades were outspoken against Simeon's killing, passing their condolences on to the friends and lovers. But she said the town's quickly growing population, which has now topped 100,000, was adding to feelings of uneasiness. A lot of them came recently and they don't know us, she said. We become so dramatically outnumbered and we're a little fearful of that because we are used to Shashman being really for Rasta. Now that other people weren't here, but we were so many and they were so few. People gravitate to where their infrastructure, you know, that Shashman became that. For this area, people coming from all different angles. It became crossroad that really changed the whole climate for Rastafari living in Shashman. It's not the same as we have anticipated or accepted and enjoyed. It's different. It's a different kind of thing. You niggas are going to Jamaica to Africa. Simeon was a member of the 12 tribes of Israel, one clear organized order or mansion of the Rastafari movement. Vice News visited Charmaine headquarters 2 months before the murder. Several septuagenarians sat on a wooden bench inside the gated compound. They offered around a joint before one dreadlocked man came, explaining how his ancestors treated in his birth country. I don't need to work here. I've escaped slavery. You hear this shit? That's how the blacks were treated in Jamaica. You know that if you know your history. So these niggas just got some property, right? And they just living on that motherfucking plant. Just chill. People like, yo. Saying they disapprove of the lack of work ethic. Many also had major issues with the use of marijuana. Though stimulant cat is commonly issued in Ethiopia, cannabis is illegal. I was about to say that. Oh, it ain't legal. You do cat. I was talking about before I used to work for Gypsy. We used to talk about chewing cat in this country. They said they just literally give that shit away. In 15th, 2015. Okay. However, Ethiopia is not the only country where Rastafarians face problems. Followers of the religion can be found across the world in countries including Botswana, Japan, Madagascar, and the Democratic Republic of the Congo. The obstacles differ. In Malawi, for example, children have been banned from wearing dreadlocks in school. No one. See, that sounds like a white woman. The historian, oh, okay, she's not one. And researchers of the Institute of Research for Development said, sadly, speaking of Syria, but actually, I guess I know you pronounce it. It's a Rastafarian herself. Yeah, so it's good. Hanging out with all the damn Rastas and shit. And has written, I was actually, I just mentioned that. I was going to add another article with like a white Rasta dude that did the same thing to his kids. They starved their kids to death. Shit, I was going to use that, but I decided to cut it kind of short. In Ethiopia, there are no other communities of international foreigners who have tried to settle and integrate themselves in that level of Ethiopian society in secondary town, far away from the capital city. Explaining why Shashamane fascinates her. It's both a very special community and a very abandoned. Despite that, it's quite striking to see that returns actually continue. That was one thing in my work. It's the past reality of that aspect. Reality didn't kill the dreams. New arrivals have adapted to new environment, new surroundings, new challenges, and they strive. They're best to develop themselves, their businesses, the community. They do this without any identification papers, because they have been given no right to citizenship. While in the background is the question of what their existence as the descendants of former slaves entitles them to. What is their right to Africa today? Interesting. Very interesting. Listen to this shit. Please take notice of all of our orders.
What I miss?
No use of cameras unless authorized by the house. So you can't take no pictures of what's going on.
Oh, look at that. Is that the cult leaders sign with all their rules?
Women wearing trousers are not.
Can you hear me? It's like, oh shoot. Internet's breaking again. Yeah, so that's what happens. I come back and internet dies. So, but yeah, it's just crazy. Rastafarians in Ethiopia is like, that's something you don't really think of. I mean, I know Rastafarians like idolize Ethiopia, almost like weeaboos do Japan. But yeah, it's like many of them don't even know how to speak the actual Ethiopian language. So it's kind of funny that they would settle there. A lot of them are from Jamaica and they speak English in a weird way. So it's like,
All right, I'm back.
All right,
my
cool.
bad.
Yeah, I came back and your internet just died. But I'm just saying the whole thing with Rastafarians and Ethiopia is kind of funny.
Yeah, I got a great.
Yeah. But the funny thing about it is these guys only know Ethiopian on a very superficial level. So like when they go there, they can't even speak to the people that they would be seeing on the street because they only know certain words like the Hebrew Israelites.
Where do we at? But you see on the screen, you see the rules up in there. That's the rules. Like that shit boxed in. Like they got this land and that shit all housed in. So it's like their own little commune. But when you see here, this shit a cult. You can't take no pictures of that motherfucker.
Yeah, because they're worried people are going to go in there and get the word out about these weirdos.
Yup. Menstruating women are not to enter for a period of 7 days. All weapons, drugs, alcohol, and cigarettes are forbidden. Except weed. Already, you know what that means and shit. That means everything except weed. Outrageous, jumping off the wall is strictly forbidden. See, that shit walled in. Then they got a motherfucking goddamn fort and shit. These motherfuckers. That shit crazy. Reparations was both a cornerstone of Rastafarian belief, and it was also understood in the literature of a utopian distinct belief. I used to be a Rasta before. I used to read all that shit. I actually met he's supposed to be like a famous researcher. I can't think of his name. And it showed how a lot of Rastas and stuff, they had sonic orders of Rastas, different types like the Bobo, Naya Dinky, got
Yeah. Those are the 12 mansions of Rastafari.
12 mansions.
Yeah, you heard what I said, 12. That's right. The funny thing is, that's how they sneak in that Israelite thing.
Yep.
Because there's 12 of them.
I'm surprised they didn't go to Addis Ababa and try to camp around that motherfucker. But supposedly, Addis Selassie gave these people this land. But I couldn't find the article. I think I did because I didn't read it yet. The people don't, they let them just stay there. Like, they don't believe that shit. They don't got no like real paperwork on it, I guess. Or his kingdom is not in rulership anymore. So
The government is very different from the way it was when Haile Selassie was alive.
Right. So they're just fucking tolerating the motherfuckers.
Because let me put it this way: they have a federal government now. They were originally a monarchy, but now they have a federal government, which means they have like an actual modern government.
Yeah. Oh shit! It's saying right here. Look, it says since the Ethiopian Revolution in 1974, there has been no formal policy from the Ethiopian government in their regards, and as much as they are tolerated, they are not embraced or integrated formally by the government. These niggas are squatters. Squatter. Ross is pissing in the bush. Squatter. Got away with this. What you gonna do, Rasta, now? You ain't got no place to go. Drip dry. Benashi spoke about the precarious position Rastafaris are still occupying, particularly in relations to the lack of documentation, which means they can't get bank accounts, can't establish registered businesses, and regularly face other legal obstacles. Young people have it especially bad, she said, because they're born in Ethiopia, they grew up in Ethiopia, they went to Ethiopian schools, they speak Ethiopian languages, and they are not entitled to ID. All Ethiopian land was nationalized after the 1974 revolution, which resulted in the imprisonment of Selassie. Hear that? Which resulted in the imprisonment of Selassie and death the following year. Since then, even though it's been granted and removed a number of times by the Ethiopian government, there is no formal acknowledgement of Selassie's original land grant by the Ethiopian authorities in the neighborhood, in the context, has changed so much that I'm not sure they will ever be able to get back their 500 people.
So it's like what I said.
Banachi also suggested that local Ethiopians might be jealous of the Rasta. These are people that leave New York, London, to go to Ethiopia, a country where there's serious demographic pressure and young people just dream about running away. Ethiopians have a different time understanding. Why would people leave New York to come to Shasha? The academic also said that it was unfair to say Rastas don't work. In fact, the percentage of unemployed was similar to the rest of Ethiopia, where it's high throughout. Okay. Oh, she's old white lady, old white Rasta and shit. I like smoking weed, hanging with niggas. Look, she doing the Judah Nazareth and shit.
I was just about to say that, yeah.
Oh man! Oh, look, listen. Oh, sad drink. Look who running shit. Look who running shit though. Look who running shit. Who runs the Zion Train Live? Got our own little hotel up in that motherfucker. Wow. It's like a tourist attraction. It's like a theme park, basically. It's like going to Gatorland and shit in Florida. You know what I'm saying? It's a theme park, or south of the border and shit, South Carolina and shit. It's like a theme park. Like people stop there and say, yeah, we're gonna check this out where the Rastas live and shit. The niggas got weed up in there. You can smoke in there, don't go to jail and shit. Right. Get fucking hung and put on the firing squad. It's no longer a question of color, is it? Said Selassie's great nephew, Asfa Hussein Asardi, referring to the Rastafarians who congregate beside the train station near his home in Germany. His birthday 67 met Vice News while in London for a book launch. A former royal family member was studying abroad during the 1974 revolution, but his father was executed without trial, while many of his family members were imprisoned, some for decades. So they locked all them niggas up and shit. They talking about the king of motherfucking Ethiopia, nigga. Shit, that shit been gone, nigga. They locked that nigga up. They ended that motherfucking rulership, that kingdom. Talking about that shit went back to motherfucking King Solomon and shit. Lying ass motherfuckers. They put an end to that shit. But they said Ethiopia had the longest reigning kingdom, like world kingdom. He has since been to Shashamane many times. I hope I pronounced that name. I think, or motherfucker told me. I think it's very interesting place where they are really doing a lot of good by showing Ethiopians what the green theory is. That you work with non-chemical things. Oh, there you go. However, he's not a big fan of cannabis and think it's bizarre. I bet that white lady got a big ass bush too. And think it's bizarre. It's been linked to Selassie. All right. It's been linked to Selassie in any way. They shouldn't be smoking it. This is not the thing which we want to show the youth of Ethiopia. Huh? We have enough problems, you know, and smoking ganja, they should not ask people to partake in that and lead people to believe that it's not a harmful drug. There you go. There you go. So the citizens and shit got a motherfucking got common sense and shit. And these niggas come over there and talk about God gave this motherfucking weed and shit. Yo, the motherfuckers make that shit like that scripture in the Bible is literally talking about weed. Like, that shit's crazy. But that's like, look what this shit developed, like a third world country and shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? These motherfuckers like just coming up with shit. In jail academics. In a country like Ethiopia, where you need people to work for a living and they need to have a clear mind. Start ascertain Sorry. Continue. Any kind of drug is not agreeable. The Rastafarian worship of Selassie was inspired by. Now, Selassie supposed to be the second coming of Christ. So, if that nigga related to Selassie, all y'all motherfuckers should be listening to him. Because he's the direct lineage and shit from Jesus, King David. So why y'all not listening to Asarate, whatever his name is? Why y'all niggas not listening to him? Rastafari worship of Selassie was inspired by the words of black nationalist leader Marcus Garvey, who declared in 1920, "Look to Africa when a black king shall be crowned. For the day of deliverance is at hand." Deliverance is at hand. Many later interpreted this as a promotion of Selassie's crowning, before which the king was known as Rastafari the Conqueror. Selassie's grandson, Crown Prince Zier Yakub, still lives in Addis Ababa. Several Rastafarians told Vice News that they also worship him when he comes to visit. Yo, you know that nigga, their real name ain't Yakub, nigga. That nigga came up with that shit, nigga. He came up with that shit. You like, fuck that.
Oh, yeah. It's like on To Catch a Predator, this one dude said his name was Aladdin.
Yup. See? It's crazy. Right? So several Rastafarians told Vice News that they also worship him when he comes to visit. Asarate, whatever it is, back in London, said he admits the Rastafarians, admires the Rastafarians for their Pan-African attitude, but he believes defying Selassie is the greatest blasphemy. If it makes them feel good, they can believe whatever they want to believe, but don't incriminate the emperor by saying that he himself believed in that, which he didn't. See that? When reality comes, to whip your motherfucking ass and shit. Know what I'm saying? He right. He said it makes them feel good. They can believe whatever they want to believe. But don't incriminate the emperor by saying that he himself believed in that bullshit, which he did. Instead, he's a Christian himself. Suggests the Rastafarians should now approach the patriarch of the Ethiopian Orthodox Church in Addis Ababa and lobby to have Selassie made into a saint. That is something which anybody can accept, because every saint in the world is a human being. See? That nigga even gave him a motherfucking solution. Also said that he had heard of tensions and Shachman because of the origins of the Rastafarians' land. In a broader sense, he claimed to feel terrible about the laws preventing Ethiopians from owning land outright. I don't believe that leasing is the right attitude for farming in Africa, because land has got a magical thing about it for African farmers. They believe that it's the only thing that is eternal in this world, and they want to have a piece of that eternity. And what's more, they want to give part of eternity to their children. 40 years after the revolution of the Ethiopian farmer, he's still not the owner of the land he tills. He continues. Yesterday, he might have been the tenant of the Ethiopian aristocracy. And for 40 years now, he has been the tenant of the government. So, it's crazy. It's unbelievable. I got this article here talking about Haile Selassie. Manic rewriting of Haile Selassie legacy must stop. Yeah, so that's rough, yo. A foreign people that's coming to your neighborhood and shit, and like that's crazy because they don't have to have no business license and none of that shit. because they're not citizens. They just keep their ass up in that little fort and build whatever they build up in there.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It's crazy because these guys show up with a different culture in their minds, and they're living by that culture in their new home.
Yeah.
So it's like those gangsters who went to different Latin American countries, bringing that LA way of living to those Latin American countries. In some ways, making them crazier than they were before those guys showed up.
Yeah.
Like, the same thing with these guys in Ethiopia.
And if you people want to be citizens or whatever, if they can be citizens according to law, they should be able to have to do that shit the way they tell you got to do that shit. You can't just post up in some shit for some motherfucker that say, like, oh yeah, I give you this shit over here, and that nigga not even in power no more. Like they took out their whole shit. So like, you know what I mean? Motherfuckers and shit, they running up there. So the government is like, yo, all right, we just let y'all chill here, yo. Y'all say so. Now, shit start to hit the fan. They're gonna have the big exodus. You know what I mean? Their asses the fuck up out of Ethiopia. Go somewhere. All right. This guy, Hannes Walder Marion, crawls through the history books to expose the truth of Haile Selassie's 44-year reign over Ethiopia. Emperor Haile Selassie, who ruled Ethiopia from 1930 to 1974, died in 1975. But he lives on through the romantic lyrics of the late Jamaican reggae star, Ethiopian pop star, the Redros, whatever. Better out there, I call him Teddy Afro. That's his name, Teddy Afro. Yet, there's a wide range of views for the man whose full official title was His Imperial Majesty Haile Selassie, conquering lion of the tribe of Judah, King of Kings, elected God. Some remember him as a benevolent ruler who resisted Italian colonization. For others, he is a god, yet others view him as a tyrant. Haile portrayal of Selassie is strongly influenced by the Rastafarian belief that he is God incarnate, as allegedly prophesied by Marcus Garvey. On the other hand, Teddy Afro, an Ethiopian, is promoting his version of Ethiopian. Kebra Nagast, also known as the Glory of Kings, is an ancient text in which Selassie's mythology stems. Mythology. It narrates the relationship between King Solomon and Queen of Sheba and their son Melanique I, who allegedly hid the Ark of the Covenant in Ethiopia. Like Melanique II, 1889, 1913, Haile Selassie, a distant relation, claims descent from the Solomonic dynasty. Inspired by this ideology, Ethiopian kings and emperors have conquered lands and enslaved ethnic groups. In this sense, Kebra Nagast can fairly be compared to the 19th century expansionist white American ideology of the manifest destiny. That's heavy. That's heavy. Those who have slowly learned about Haile Selassie through the music of reggae stars and Teddy Afro may well have developed the impression that Selassie was a fatherly, benevolent ruler and a champion of blacks. However, his portrayal of Selassie and his predecessors, Emperor Menelik II, is grossly distorted. Clearly, even though the last Ethiopian monarch was overthrown in 1974, undercurrents of the Kebra Nagast still reverberate in the discourse of Ethiopian nationalism. While the majority of the Ethiopian people do not subscribe to this belief system, some Ethiopians look for aspects of the Kebra Nagast narrative for Ethiopia. Yet this mythology, or elements of it, creates huge divisions through its implicit expectation that Ethiopians accept this version of identity politics. Wow. So you see this mythology book, people are taking it and taking it as whole, taking it in part, but all in all, they using it to get one up on the other people that don't believe that don't subscribe to that, to what they subscribe to. Like, it's like you got a cult. Just like I said, they make it could be the same type of cult, Hebrew Israelites, right? But they got all these different sects. Every cult you go, every Hebrew Israelite cult you go to, they're gonna tell you they got the truth, and the other ones are all rebels from the truth. So they get that Kevin the gas, they pick one part out of that. This is what makes our group special. Somebody take a note.
And can I just say something real quick about that? That's the way it was when you and I were in Torah Nights.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So all those camps that mentioned Yahushua, we were against them. Because Judah was against him, so we were.
Yep. Yep. For Rastafarians, Ethiopia is Zion and the Promised Land. In 1948, Selassie granted them land in the Rift Valley for a settlement in Shashamane. So this is what they're saying, why the Rastas got that property. The settlement has never been big, with no more than 1,000 Rastas at its peak, and now about 400. There was never a mass exodus of Rasta in Ethiopia, and they never assimilated. They lived in isolation, much like the Amish in the United States. I saw that big coat sign on the front door. The Rastafarian connection with Selassie is made with the tenuous understanding of Jamaican Pan-Africanist Marcus Garvey's famous prophecy. Look to Africa when a black king shall be crowned, for the day of deliverance is near. This reference to Africa was interpreted to mean Ethiopia, and the link to a black king was the coronation of Selassie in 1930. Obviously, that wasn't it. Maybe it was Obama. Maybe he really Marcus Garvey was really talking about Obama.
That would be pretty funny. Although I don't think so. Look at Obama. He was like some kind of weird mix.
Yep. The travel writer Bill Weitrack claimed that the Rasta movement originated in Ethiopia, but it actually began in Jamaica through the misinterpretation of Garvey's message. Garvey exhibited no aberration for Selassie. He condemned him as a great coward for freeing Mussolini's troops in 1935. Why is that? When the motherfuckers was fighting with rocks and shit. What's wrong with you? That nigga he had no choice. When Italy invaded Ethiopia, he also criticized Selassie's practice of slavery, which was not abolished in Ethiopia until 1942. Nigga. Straight up. He also criticized Haile Selassie's practice of slavery. I didn't know that shit. So that nigga was a slaveholder until goddamn 1942.
Oh, can you even wrap your mind around that?
Yo, that shit crazy. I gotta find out what a slave looked like.
They still had slaves. That's nuts.
Yep.
They were beating them and probably telling them, get to work.
Yep. I'm God. You don't hear them in Jamaica saying I'm God?
There's so many things wrong when you make a ruler ultra powerful.
Yeah.
Like the Dalai Lama had people in Tibet who believed that he was like, somebody important. They used to do all kinds of crazy stuff related to him.
It says Garvey said it is preferable for the Abyssinian Negroes and the Negroes
I'm gonna lay down for a minute.
for the world to work for the restoration and freedom of the country without the assistance of Selassie, because at best he is but a slave master. The Negroes of the Western world, whose forefathers suffered for 300 years under the terrors of slavery, ought to be able to appreciate what freedom means. Surely they cannot feel justified in supporting any system that would hold their brothers in slavery in another country whilst they are enjoying the benefits of freedom elsewhere. Africans who are free can also appreciate the position of slaves in Abyssinia. Ethiopia. What right has the emperor to keep slaves when all the democratic selection of the world is free? When men had the right to live, to develop, and to expand, to enjoy all the benefits of human living. Marcus Garvey wasn't shit either, shit, but that was the ill shit he did. From few reggae aficionados realized the truth. We got 5 people. Few reggae aficionados realize the wide gulf between Selassie's mythological representation and popular culture and the reality of his tyrannical reign. The perception that Selassie was a proud African and a champion for black people is not supported by facts. He only reluctantly later embraced the Rastafarians because he understood their public relations value for his cult of personality. Damn, we just got finished saying this shit. Some of his dedicated followers would be dismayed to learn that Selassie revered not his own people, but the Europeans and Africans who are routinely invited to his lavish parties in his palace. Wow. So they said Haile Selassie was cool. That nigga got all the white people at his parties. He don't invite none of us. Well, dang. His overthrow and they got tired of that shit. Nigga. You bringing all these white people here to party and shit. Nigga. You ain't give us a goddamn glass of champagne. You ain't shit, bro. His overthrow in 1974 and the subsequent death caused a crisis of faith. Crisis of faith. In Jamaica, among the followers of the Rastafarian faith, the religion does not accept the former emperor's death, and instead depict it as a disappearance, similar to the belief held by the Shiite branch of Islam. Wow. These boogie motherfuckers, bro. I tell you, man. I tell you. All right. Islam, when the hidden Imam Hussein was murdered in the 7th century. Bob Marley's 1975 song called Jah Live seeks to refute the fact of Selassie's death by insisting that a deity cannot have died. You see how much sense he had. Teddy Afro and his reverence for the Ethiopian monarch. Teddy Afro stylistic mimics Bob Marley when singing the praises of Selassie and even of Menelik II, who claimed to be a descendant of Menelik I, right? Only like 2,000 years later. In his songs, Teddy Afro proclaims unity and love for all Ethiopians. It is worth asking how Ethiopian unity is served by his praise for these monarchs. His objective is to promote a unified pan-Ethiopian nationalism. It seems to have backfired by provoking ethnic nationalism among the world, who do not share similar concepts of these rulers, and rather view them as the reason for their oppression and suffering. Selective reading of history does little to build a strong national foundation. Rather, a new social contract is desperately needed, which respects the pluralism and diversity of the country. You know what's funny, yo? I bet you the large majority of those Rastas in Jamaica didn't even know that motherfucker had slaves and shit into 1942. I wanted to put some money in it. Historical accounts of the reign.
Oh yeah, they didn't know that. They didn't know anything about that. They were sitting there going, If you told them that, they'd be like, "No way, that man
Yeah.
didn't have slaves."
Oh,
Like, what are you talking about? You talking about my hero? And then when you show them proof, the tears start running down their face because they're like, they can't say anything.
Yep, their bottom lip start trembling and shit, mumbling. Yeah, that's my cat. That's my cat. King Slice, King, Lord, Conquer Line, Charity.
Yeah, just that cult stuff. You know, they start, just going back to that.
Yep. Historical accounts of the reign of Menelik II is shown as a contemptuous of blackness, an expansionist, and labor and cruel. As a case in point, Etrians made important, though little acknowledged, contributions to the Ethiopian victory over the Italian colonizer in Adel in 1896 by gathering crucial intelligence on Italian war strategy. Emperor Menelik II returned the favor by savagely amputating the arms and legs of retreating war prisoners. Never mind that these poor Etrian peasants were violently forced to fight under Italy, just as other European colonists used Africa, Indians, and other colonial subjects as cannon fodder for their wars and conquests everywhere. Nevertheless, Menelik II, the so-called champion of black victory, decided to set free his Italian and Libyan war prisoners while mutilating their attrition. In fact, Menelik II reconstructed image as a historical agent in black liberation does not fit record events. For instance, his state of mind was revealed through a comment to a Haitian dignitary that he did not consider himself to be a black man. Therefore, Teddy Afro's celebration of Menelik as the black man lacks historical basis. Oh, shit. Invoking Selassie or Menelik as Teddy Afro does polarizes communities because it insults those who do not share this interpretation of history and the terrible legacy of these monarchs. Haile Selassie is an international statesman. It should be noted, that Haile Selassie's global prominence is due to his position as a very loyal client of the West. Much like the Shah of Iran and Mobutu of Zaire, these clients maintain power through repression and the murder and silencing of true patriots. Unlike Selassie, however, history accurately remembers Shah Reza Pahlavi and Mobutu Sese Seko as tyrants. Yet efforts are underway to depict Selassie as a Pan-Africanist and visionary. Some had campaigned vigorously for his statue to be erected in the front of the African Union building in Addis Ababa. Sadly, the African Union has acceded to the request. Selassie often took undeserved credit for others' contributions. One example was Lorenzo Tazaz, an Etrian who enhanced Selassie's image during the Italian invasion of Ethiopia. While the emperor was in exile in Bath in England, Tazaz secretly slipped into Ethiopia and organized the Patriots. He recruited 2,000 or so Etrians who had fled Italian colonial rule to fight for Ethiopia from the refuge settlements in Kenya. He also smuggled weapons for the Patriots, a famous speech delivered by Selassie, famed for developing his aura as statesman and defender of his people. At the League of Nations in 1936, is widely believed to have been written by Tazaz. Wow. The emperor eventually repaid Tazaz by demoting him from his position as foreign minister. He died soon after in 1947 in suspicious circumstances. Selassie demonized as a dictator. Selassie deserved to be depicted as a dictator. The historical records provides a decisive answer. First, it was well established that he spent $35 million for celebrating his 80th birthday during the Wallow famine. He traveled widely, visiting the United States many times, only stopping once in Jamaica in 1966. Perhaps less well known are Selassie's crimes and his associates, such as Aseret Hassa and Exria. These are too numerous and ghastly for the scope of this piece. For further reading on this, I recommend Michael Long's book titled I Didn't Do It For You, How the World Betrayed a Small African Nation. Similarly, the autocrat is remembered in Tigray for inviting the British Royal Air Force to bomb the region in 43 to quell what became known as the First Royan Rebellion. He consolidated his power by weakening the provinces after Italy's defeat by the British in 41. He was also harsh towards the Ethiopian patriots who fought against the Italians while he fled to Britain. For example, Bele Seleke, a national war hero, was hung on his orders. Unfavorably, Teddy Afro recently praised both Selassie and Bele Seleke during the appearance of the Millennium Hall in Addis with the Eritrea President Isaias and Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy in the audience. It seemed unconscionable to praise a murderous traitor and his victims. Parable of Polish writer Zard Kapuscinski. The Emperor Downfall of Autocrat is an accurate depiction of the real Selassie. Why bother with Selassie at this time? The romantic rewritings of Selassie's legacy and the distorted history of other Ethiopian monarchs has significant relevance for current Ethiopian politics. Selassie's legacy needs to be exposed in light of attempts by musicians, historical revisionists in the sport, foreign beneficiaries, and politicians to control the narrative through false representation. This cannot be dismissed as non-harmless because of the role music plays in creating harmless because of the role music plays in creating what the theorist of nationalism, Benedict Anderson, calls imagined communities in its crucial role in political organizing. Music heightens and releases endorphins, creating a sense of belonging among people with shared sentiments, which can lead to collective action. This latest form of Black nationalism created by Rastafarians is given reverence to a man who never deserved it, is therefore harmful. Still, I celebrate the addition to reggae to UNESCO's tangible cultural heritage list while taking exception to the claim. Its contribution to international discourse on issues of injustice, resistance, love, humanity underscores the dynamics of the event as being at once cerebral, socio-political, sensual, and spiritual. Record of reggae is rather more pronounced and mixed, particularly in reference to the place given to its life. It is often said that the victors or powerful are the ones who write history. History is ill-served when popular celebrities and musicians, motivated by religion or some kind of hyper-nationalism, represents the past. This is offensive to the victims and divisive for the communities who need genuine solidarity. That'll tell me. I like that. Like Dr. Yetta's long. It's great to talk. That's heavy. So they're basically showing how music has helped boom. I don't know where he at. Harry wins. What up, Harry wins? I've seen you up on it. I think I ever seen you on it. I don't know. They be bugging, yo. They be bugging. They down here. But, you know, like, but I don't know. Shit. I burned their asses up today. I tell you that much. I damn sure burned their asses up. I said we hear you. I know you hear that. Yeah, so that was cool. I kind of tied it all in today. I think I did a good job with today. So I tied everything together. You have a vegan lady and shit, killing the motherfucking kids, Bible shit. Goddamn people, Israelites and shit, getting their asses kicked out of motherfucking Israel. Yo, that shit's hot, yo. I'm gonna stay on that. I'm gonna do some more news on that. You got 60 days to get the fucking body. Yo, some of them niggas gonna buck up. Some of them niggas gonna buck up. Goddamn.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what develops with that.
They might kill them or do them off like them Palestinians. They said they do something to them out there. Yo. They might. You never know.
You know, the Israelis would be well in their right if they went in there with guns and just, you know.
Yo, you know what's crazy though? They say they can spend the rest of their life in Israeli prison. Like, so they some of those terrorist motherfuckers they got over there, them niggas ain't got no trial or nothing. They just locked up. They could be in there forever for the rest of their motherfucking life, just sitting in there because you want to fuck around and come to a country and act like that motherfucker is yours.
Mm-hmm.
Dock you away forever. Like, we don't know where you come from. You ain't got no passport. You ain't got none of that shit. You got rid of that shit when you got here. You let your company take that shit from you. So we don't know who you is. They're like, well, you can call my mama. No, we ain't calling nobody. We don't know who you is. And shit. Next thing you know, you on a firing squad and some bullshit with some bullshit. You know what I'm saying? But you want to be with your Halashah, you about to go down.
Just like that, just like in that movie where those two, where that, you know, chick and her brother were smuggling drugs.
Yeah.
They both got the firing squad.
Yeah. That shit crazy though, man. It's sad, yo, but like people don't realize what they're doing, and like it's cool. Like that dude said, it's like cool if you want to believe Haile Selassie, God incarnate. That's cool. But don't be making no motherfucking lies up on me. Because those lies can like fuck up people, normal people that try to live their life. Like they said about the Rastas, they up in there. Weed is illegal. The Ethiopians gave them religious freedom to smoke the weed. But they don't want them niggas and shit out in the street smoking weed so the kids can see that and think that's cool. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, a lot of motherfuckers moved there from New York and shit. They got money. So they influence the youth there. If the youth ain't robbing them, the youth trying to be like them. Or they robbing them to be like them. You know what I'm saying? And they start picking up the habits and shit. The American, the Rasta American, smoke ganja, like some dumb shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? And people all fucked up. You know what I'm saying? They're bringing drugs to the goddamn country. Thinking the shit cool. Fuck what their religious shit is like, whatever, like, it's just what they doing with it. You know what I'm saying? Your church ain't out here when you walking the street. Do that shit in the church. Catch you somewhere else with that bullshit, hanging your motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Like, that shit crazy.
Yeah,
and then, you know,
it's crazy stuff, man.
Yep. First thing a nigga want to do when they go out there, grow some weed. First thing a nigga gonna look for. Where the weed at? And other thing, you got all these weed smokers too. Because, you know, like, they smoke weed, they buy be far out. And shit, they start coming up with these revelations. I need to go to Ghana. Bullshit. You fuck around, go to one of these motherfucking third world countries if you want. Kill your ass, you got some drugs on. You know, they ask niggas some weed and shit. You'll never see your ass again. Fuck wrong with you. I don't know. Shit. Time to get the fuck about it.
Yeah, it's been fun, man. You know, always a pleasure to come on. You know, I'll catch you next time. See ya, Gil.
You got to get that damn REI to show up, man. You got to get on his head.
I wanted him to. You better believe I wanted him to show up.
You got to stay out of that motherfucker's head, yeah. You got to stay out of his head.
I mean, yeah, I will, but I don't want to end up getting in trouble for, being a stalker.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
I just want the man to show up and explain himself. That's all. But yeah, I'll catch you next time. Maybe
All right.
we'll get to do that. Yeah.
Peace, man.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Peace.
Yeah. I'll go check out his channel. Springfield. That's how y'all see it in the chat. Check out his channel. Subscribe to him. Got some good videos on there over there on the code and some of his other interesting stuff. Cool channel. Nice clean channel too. Yeah, shit. That's about it. I smoked these niggas' boots today. Smoked their motherfucking boots. I'm gonna look up one thing and see if I can find it. See what you can see. Every nigga got slaves. Some yeah. Motherfuckers. David motherfucker. Carrying straws. Some bitches. That's some motherfucker. That's some shit. Hold on, y'all. I'll show it to y'all. I ain't I did saying you. Old Hachi 91. Shalahan. Shalahan, y'all. Shot a lot of ham, y'all. You've gone wild, goddamn it. Shot a ham, y'all. Shot a ham. Shot a ham, nigga. Shot a ham. I'm in use. I'm gonna have to borrow that. All right, show this picture. Shot a ham, y'all. Man, yo, you stupid, yo. That's Shav, y'all, yo. That's probably Shav. I know he might not be shot. Yeah, yo. Goddamn Ethiopian slaves carrying out a goddamn straw. Ain't that son of a bitch? Niggas ain't no good, yo. Unreal. I see the title. Ethiopian female slaves carry straw in the village and unreal. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Alright, so I'm getting that. Goddamn, we'll find the general. Fucking, you got a witch. Burn your goddamn asses up every motherfucking time. Next one, I'll go on tonight. I might go on tonight. I might. That y'all have a good day. Enjoy yourselves and stuff. Do something cool. Get back in your life. I'm up on you.
Man's inhumanity to man portrayed on the screen so vividly that you flinch. This man showed no mercy in the pursuit and interrogation of his victims. He was called the Witch Finder General.
Witch finding ain't easy. Fucking trick one. Get this one. Y'all can get your hands locked, spin away like prison. Intelligence agencies trace today. Seeing what I did lately, amazing. They not seeing all the sheep graceful. Flaming pins of job, get rocked. Mountaintops go fly. Riding up, fighting up. Yet I'm so nice when I expose. Fuck y'all clothes, costume shop roll. Catch info like a stroll. Feeling old, so grab a switch. I'll extol my foes cause they snitch. Since they can't do with me, I'ma do with them. That chopped off head will still spin. Burning witches in they sin. You can't lie, you can't die. I know what y'all said. Just as flesh decay, but eternally, I don't see it that way. Pave the road clear is what you said, but your cult gonna leave people dead. You claim God, but God don't know you. Watch your desires overthrow you. Man fall down, man go boom. Mask wearing like doom. All caps like y'all yelling. That's a rap. Might as well be felons. Y'all words are left. On YouTube, acting precious. This the nexus. Feel the sun from the solar plexus. Taste the breakfast. Finding all those devices that detect us. Yo, show respect, cuz.
And what line of business, my dear? God's business. Witch finding. Witch finding. Oh, that's
Y'all
nice.
be looking for that next buzz. Or some buzz. Watch the general pull plugs. Internet warriors caught up in dark corridors. Fiction like Mordor. Should've stayed on the floor. Y'all know no origins. Laughing orphans, even though we got royal blood coursing. No more horsing. Real life's more important. Y'all speaking curse on yourself. Claiming God and no one else. Blast you off the shelf. Burn your whole library. See you do it. Look, y'all claim and learn. Reading from the Jewish books. Y'all some cooking crooks. Lips caught up with a hook. Spooky beats drive me wild. Get stabbed, a knife holding child. Old man, old style. Used to be killed out the Nile. And I did it with a smile. Fake news, smell vile. Rock like Hendrix at the aisle. After a while, see Egyptians on the trial. Yeah, you, the one claiming root. Unglued and unruly. Expose their actions fully. Yeah, I'll be a bully, but that's fine. This is how you get bullied straight from the mind. Burning. We cats out there. We have faith. We got faith. They need all this. They know all this. Maybe they speak languages. Curses.
Be the first to talk about it. The Witch Finder General.
Goddamn right.